views and opinions of this show do not reflect the views and opinions of Wikicuriosity Media or its affiliates. Wikicuriosity Media, changing the world you listen to. Any music featured on Wikicuriosity Media programs is used with the express written consent of the artist, owner, or distributor. Coming to you live from the Wikicuriosity Studios in Knoxville, Tennessee, it's Behind the Screen Radio Show.
Another exciting episode of the Cinephiles. I am your host, Dan. Joining me in the studio tonight is the lovely Miss Angel.
Hello.
The beautiful Miss Ann.
Hello.
And the handsome Mr. Austin.
Yeah.
You can join us as well. All you got to do is call in 718-664-9735. Again, 718-664-9735. That brings you directly into the studio. Or you can message us on Facebook. We are streaming live on Facebook on Behind the Screen right now. So just head on over there, type in your question, and we will either answer you in the chat or on the air. Speaking of Facebook, go to your search bar, type in Behind the Screen Radio Show. You'll be the first one that pops up. Click like, share, and follow. Be kept up to date on everything going on in Behind the Screen world. Also head on over to Wikicuriosity Media's Facebook page. Give them a like, share, and follow. Be kept up to date on everything that's going on within the Wikicuriosity Media world, all the shows, all the hosts, and everything like that. From Wikicuriosity Media's Facebook page, you can access the website, www.wikicuriosity.wixsite.com/WC Media. It's a mouthful. Just click on the link.
That's what she said.
Not to me. On the website. I was meaning how itty bitty. On the website, you can access photos of the hosts. You can access information on the shows. You can access our blogs. You can access our YouTube channel. You can also access every show that has ever been on the Wikicuriosity family of networks, whether it's Wikicuriosity Radio Network or Wikicuriosity Media, all the way back to the very, very, very beginning, almost 3 years ago. It's been about 2.5 years. March will be 3 years. April will be 3 years.
3?
2018 is when we started.
Damn.
Because we formed the company in 2017, and we started in 2018.
Things to make you go home.
And now, joining us from his studio in the great state of Michigan is the wonderful Alex.
I already have one.
Maybe, Alex?
Can I hear him?
You brought him in too early.
I probably brought him in too early. That's okay. When he's ready, he'll come in.
He's probably independently moving.
Yeah.
So, something Ann and I were talking about earlier, in 2 weeks, we will have officially been stuck in this house for a whole ass year.
Uh-huh.
A whole year.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Because that's when we would have been kicked out of school for Corona, after spring break.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of makes you want to weep a little. I weep a little inside.
I haven't been stuck in the house. I'm essential.
I have been. He says he can't hear us.
Who can't hear us?
Alex.
I can hear us, so that doesn't make any sense.
Where's Alex at? Where's you stuck at?
Okay.
You figure out his end. Give me a second.
Well, he's live on us.
Yeah, I can hear you, and I'm a caller, which means that we're working.
Right. Which means probably.
So I don't know what's happening there.
Yeah.
Message him because he can't hear us, so he doesn't hear you.
Okay, so while we figure out some technical difficulties, I know it's a little early in the show. We're going to take a very, very quick break.
Behind the Screen. We'll be right back.
cut me off and say you're tired of talking. It's not as if we can't agree, but you've lost your will to fight. You're packing up all your things to leave. These will be our last words. Then the chance will be lost, and I ain't too proud. If you love me, you would hold me and never let me go. If you love me, you would tell me you never want me to be alone. If you cared at all, you would stop and never go. But you just turn your back to me and say, I guess I don't. Now it's 7 years and 1,000 days away from down the day we first met. Time has moved on for you, and I can feel life has got me stuck on the day you left, and what was said.
Welcome back to Behind the Screen Radio Show.
Oh, we're back.
It was just a momentary pause. Like, it just, like...
It looked like you were about to do a jolly jig.
Well, I sincerely apologize for all of the technical issues.
The extra long break.
Extra long break. Great state of Michigan, Alex.
Hello.
Hey, there we are. All right.
Bombs off?
Is the weather bad in Michigan?
No, it's actually warming back up. I don't know what's going on. It's
I don't know.
irritating.
Yeah, so last night...
Conspiracy when it's happening.
Yeah, last night, Falling from Grace had, like, it wouldn't connect us into Blog Talk a couple times, and then it was fine. But...
Oh, we're talking about that? That's conspiracy, yeah.
Sometimes...
I thought we were talking about the globe eating.
No, sometimes Blog Talk
That's
is fine.
happening.
That's happening.
Michigan's warm and Texas is cold. We're fucking dead.
Yeah, right? We're all screwed now.
Okay, so just in case everybody missed it at the beginning of the show, we're here. Well, I've got Miss Angel with me.
Mm-hmm.
I've got Austin with me. I've got Ann with me. I've got Alice with me.
Hello.
I'm Dan. You can call in 718-664-9735. You can also listen to us live on Facebook on the Behind the Screen Facebook page live. I don't know what is fucking going on.
Somebody raise your face.
And I'm Dan.
It was just such a children's cartoon.
We got the whole family, and I'm Dan.
You're watching?
Listen, I'm going to do that from now on.
Hi, I'm Dan, and you're watching Disney Channel. Bum, 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 bum.
I'm Dan, and you're listening to the Cinephiles.
The Cinephiles?
The Cinephiles.
Holy shit. This is, yeah, nope, we're good.
Oh my God,
Here, your show.
we've been live on Facebook for 25 minutes.
Anyway, yes, you can catch us live on Facebook on Behind the Screen. So, real quick.
Sure.
I had an interesting thing happen to me at work today. I've already explained it to you, but I'm going to put it out there.
Sure.
So, one of my coworkers was actually on an episode of finding Bigfoot.
You're such a jerk.
I'm not going to call him out.
Was he Bigfoot?
No. Well, I mean, they did say he was looking at his own reflection. That's probably what he saw. So yeah, he was.
Yeah, so he claimed he saw Bigfoot outside of his window.
He was squatchy.
Yeah, and so it's been a running joke at work.
It was hilarious, by the way. The episode was hilarious. I'm so sorry. If you're
He was the
listening,
person
we
that-
love you, but
Then he saw Bigfoot, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I'll show you the episode.
Was he like a paid actor?
no, this is a show.
Like, people still claim that he saw Bigfoot.
This was like an East Tennessee episode, so there was multiple people, like different parts out here. Like they were up at Cape Cove,
We're not even the right mountain.
Appalachian.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Appalachians. Yeah.
That's over there, isn't it?
It's here. We're
What's the
Cape Cove is the Appalachian Mountains.
What's the west mountain?
Rockies?
Rockies. That's where Bigfoot is.
He's all over.
Okay, well either way though,
No, not
if
the
you're
real
listening,
No, I know.
we love you, but I'm not gonna lie, I damn near pissed my pants in the episode. It's the funniest thing I've seen in a long time.
Anyway.
She was horrible, by the way.
It was.
It's not a good representation if you really wanted to find something mythological.
Yeah.
It was bad.
So anyway, I told him all that, so we had a good laugh about it. And I told him I was going to tell him he looked a little squatchy. So that was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
So today, I'm in my lunch bag and I pull out a note that my 9-year-old daughter had written a couple of weeks ago. And it said, make sure you tell blank, your coworker, we'll call him
Fred.
We'll call him
I
Fred.
feel like Fred.
Yeah, call him Fred. Make sure you tell Fred he's looking a little squatchy. That's what the note said.
In her little handwriting.
In her little handwriting. Yes. So I read it and I laughed. And this was during lunch. So I brought it up to Fred to read. And he laughed about it. And then my manager laughed about it. And then a couple of the other co-workers laughed about it. So that was the big laugh today. Was that Fred, so my 9-year-old daughter told me to tell Fred that he's looking a little squatchy.
Because the investigators were listening to his claim, which, oh my God, anyway. The one is standing at the mirror and she's like, I wonder if you were just seeing your own reflection. Whoa, bitch! You think I look squatchy?
So Fred was looking out the window and he turned on his light. And she was like, well, maybe he was just seeing himself in the reflection in the window. Which is what started the whole squatchy thing.
Oh my God.
That Fred looks like a Sasquatch.
Maybe even better by the fact that this show, okay, Fred isn't that old. We all know that, okay? So minus 8 years off his life, he looked like a very young, beardless Fred. Very funny.
I'll show you the episode tonight.
In the middle of all of that conversation, Anne was laughing about something and I couldn't figure it out. And then all of a sudden she leaned over across the entire room, picked something up, and brought it back up, and it was her fork that she had launched.
So yeeting forks across the studio.
I'm so sorry. I was trying to get a piece of chicken and all of a sudden it just went across my arm and I was like, okay. And so I just continued to eat my chicken.
Oh my God.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
So Austin and I had, some fun today.
Yep.
We had to take our giantest of cats. She's like 13 and a half pounds. And stuff her into a not giant carrier that she hated while she yowled like a wild animal all the way to the vet's office. And then they had to, watching them physically try to drag her out of the cat carrier, by the way. Like, that woman didn't have enough hands to wrap enough skin around Ruby's giant ass to pull her out.
It took it was like getting an eel out of a tube. Like, she pulled her out once,
And she went back in.
and then she went back in a little bit, and then she pulled her out again, and then we took the basket, and she pulled her fully out, and then her head was still in. And so she fully picked her up at that point and took her from the table as we took the basket.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was kind of funny because Ruby loves me. Like she'll rub her head and stuff on your hands. She's not exactly a people kitty. And so they weighed her, and then she was like, well, let's try and leave her out of the cage so the doctor can look at her. Obviously. By the way, no.
Yeah.
Why would I step her back in? But like, there's things that have to be done here. We're not stepping her back in.
We're in Tennessee.
So we're sitting there with her though, and it took them probably a good 5-10 minutes to come back in. And this poor cat has her head like buried in my chest, like Mom, no. And also trying to explain to them like what was wrong with her, because initially we took her in to get like worm medicine because she's a cat. And unfortunately, in the last 3-4 months, she started running like Austin describes it as a sidewinder snake. Like her whole ass goes to the side.
In the desert, in the dunes, just
she starts running her ass and goes to the right.
Yeah. They're like, well, she probably is just itchy. We have a kitty cat that's
I think that's
stupid allergic to fleas.
Because she stopped doing it whenever she lost the allergic reaction. But whenever it came back, it started coming back.
Yeah, and she's just
it
super
has
itchy.
gotten better here soon. Here lately.
Here soon?
Yeah, it's gotten better here soon.
I need those paperwork.
She had to get
yesterday.
She had to get a shot in the butt today. And I was like, is this going to be I do want to give a quick shout out. It's only free advertisement once because after that you can pay me. But if you live in the Knoxville, Powell, Tennessee area, there's a place called the Gentle Doctor of East Tennessee that are, number one, ridiculously affordable. And they're really great with the animals. Our cats are not the friendliest of animals, and we have managed to get all 5 through the door, taken care of, and home with 0 incidents. So today literally was like half of what I thought it was going to be price-wise. It was ridiculous. So if you have animals and need simple things, they can't. I don't think they do surgery or anything there. It's not a hospital. It's just a vet clinic. But they're very affordable. They're very nice. I would definitely go check them out.
I'm sure it's also because we own cats. Like, I can't imagine taking a dog in there that needs as much maintenance as a cat.
Prices are about the same.
I don't believe that.
I've seen the sheet.
I don't believe it.
I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, so she's all fixed up at home, and hopefully she'll stop running with her ass to the side.
Oh, bigger.
That'd be
We saw the cutest dog there though today. It was like a cartoon dog, like one of those weird, like super curly, scruffy.
Yeah, it looked like the mix between a larger Chihuahua and a Golden Doodle.
Yeah, I don't know, but it had
like,
was
white.
But it was not like pretty, like it was scruffy looking. It had one ear up and one ear down and these giant ass eyes, and I was like, oh my god, it's a cartoon.
It was like biting its feet or something. So it had
surgery.
It had like
it had stitches.
It had a bandage around one of its arms, almost like somebody putting a bandana on the arm after a wound. It was so cute.
It was, and it was probably about. It was a pretty decent sized dog.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I would take that home in a heartbeat.
I'll trade you your dog for mine.
I was like, why do you even sound like that? It kind of sounds like it was so dirty, but
I mean, it did have a hurt leg, but it was walking dirty. It was
really funny.
Yeah.
We're getting the dirty dog.
It was a super dog, but like only in place. Like
it smiled. It had a smiley face.
Yeah, it was like Skitter, but only in place. And so every time it walked, it'd be like.
Yeah, we loved it. It was really cute. I don't think Ruby was impressed, but I'll take a dirty dog any day of the week.
She was looking at me the entire time.
Like,
she was looking at me the entire time.
You motherfucker. Why are we here? What is that thing? That is not what a dog looks like. I've seen a dog.
I don't think any of the other cats like me, but I don't think she likes me now.
Oh, she loves you.
She's not. I have no idea what you're talking about.
She loves you.
None of the cats like me because I'm not a cat person, but also they don't like me because the only one that actually.
You are a cat person. You used to have a cat.
No.
Yeah, cat was 100%
Papa
your
was a cat
cat.
person, and I like those ones.
You
There's a difference.
followed Callie around the house for hours every day.
But also, like, over time, I'm slowly discovering that I think I might be mildly allergic to them. Because anytime I'm eating near them, I'm so itchy. I'm just like,
Probably just the dander.
which I could be allergic to.
Yeah, it's probably just the dander. You'd be alright. We'll get you a
I'm
gerbil.
not the first one that's allergic to that.
Don't get him a gerbil.
Gerbil's not too bad. I don't know if they're referencing the gerbil that was stuck up someone's ass.
Oh, God. Alex, are you a cat person?
Not really.
Really?
I like my two cats.
Yeah.
Snowball's irritating me
One's
lately.
big.
How much does Snowball weigh?
Snowball, I don't know. He's more of a long cat. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what a
one.
long
I don't
cat
like-
looks like, but he's longer than our other cat that's more wide. The Snowball's not very heavy.
That other
the
cat
other
is
one?
wide like a fucking birthday cake.
The other one.
Our other cat, he weighs like 25 pounds.
Oh my God!
Oh, that's a big
Oh,
Yeah.
Ruby's gonna have to
Yeah.
catch up. She's getting there.
Dude, his cat's so obese. And
Yeah.
it's not like at birth obese because you see it in the face. It's all in the stomach.
He's got a chubby, like when he was a kitten, he didn't have like that chubby of a face, but like growing up, he's definitely got like chubby cheeks to him, but his whole body is just one big mass at this point.
His legs and his head don't match the rest of it.
No, you want to know something? He doesn't even like stand up to drink out of the water bowl. He lays next to the water bowl and scoots it closer to him instead of standing up and walking closer to it. He is that lazy.
He's one step away from putting his paw in the bowl and just licking his paw.
While we were down there, the amount of times I saw him look at Alex's stairs but never try.
I swear to God, I'm not even
What's up
joking. He was
there?
just up here. Like I just let him out like 2 seconds ago. But yeah, he gets
How long
scared
it takes
when
to get out.
strangers are around. So we have people at the house and those stairs. Like 15 minutes.
Our cats went right up. One.
No, my other cat, Snowball, he sounds like a human going up and down my stairs. I think there's a
Yes,
ghost
he
in the
does.
house, but it's just him. I hear it, I'm like, what the hell is that? Is there a ghost? And then I see him coming around the corner. I was like, you little shit.
Thump, 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 thump.
Have they ever been at the top of the stairs and slip?
Funny as hell.
I could imagine the other one doing
You just slide down. You just slide. You do like a slinky.
Yeah, you either slide like a snake or roll like a donut.
Our one dog, Lucy, did that. She didn't quite understand the concept of stairs when she was a puppy, and she was up in the attic with us, and she's like, I got this. I can go down these stairs. No, it did not go that well.
Now I know what's wrong with her.
Well, just imagine one paw out and then just. Oh,
Too bad.
Our other dog, Bonnie, was alive at the time, and she's a little bit more experienced with stairs, and I swear to God, the look on her face was like Indiana Jones on the temple when that ball was rolling down the hill. She's like, oh, shit. It's coming down.
Oh, my God.
This is not going to go well.
This is going to end horribly.
Oh.
Cry laughter.
Yeah.
Oof.
Got some dumbass dogs.
See that dog? That's a dumbass dog.
They're smart in other
Yeah,
areas,
yeah,
just not when it comes to inclines in the house. They just don't do it.
Still imagining the fat cat just getting on one step and being like, one.
Only 15 more to go. I'll see you tomorrow.
I'm gonna make an elevator for him so he can just come up whenever he wants.
Yeah, just
One of those fucking electronic chairs.
yeah, just like a chair up to it and be like, respect.
It's just a cat carrier.
Yeah, that'd be even better. Just one you can slide into, and it just goes up, and you can slide out.
And then at the top of the stairs, it's just a slide and
It dumps him out like a dump truck.
Oh god, damn.
Next thing you know, all I hear is sparks are flying out. He's too fat.
Dude, he's so big that he goes back down the stairs and he keeps all the momentum. Just boom.
Oh god. All right. So tonight's show, we do have to get on.
Do we? Yes.
Tonight's show, I have not mastered the art of putting on my glasses while having headphones on yet.
You get used to it.
All right.
No, you don't.
Okay, so tonight we are pitting two movies of the same cinematic universe up against each other. We're talking Justice League and Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. And we are actually going to be describing or, talking about which one is worse than the other. Not which one is better, which one is worse.
This is not a debate for me. I actually know which one I do know better.
So, Angel's going to be our moderator.
Because I don't like either.
She's going to keep us in check. Do you have any rules?
Yeah, so I just don't want no getting so worked up. Because if we yell and we get angry, number one, I got to live with two of you out of three right here at the house. I deal with it. Two, we can't really hear it on the microphone if people are yelling over each other. So, try to make sure each person has their own time to talk and then wait so that you can respond. I'm not saying you have to be completely polite. I'm just saying don't yell at each other.
I don't think these movies are worth getting mad over. Maybe if it was Star
Right?
Wars,
No.
not these.
It's not even an argument.
Yeah.
I just have my full opinion in one sentence.
So, the way we're going to start it out is, Anne, are you joining in the conversation tonight?
No,
You never
because
watched either.
yeah, I saw 20 minutes of one of the movies, and I didn't even know it was a Batman and Superman movie until the last 5 minutes. So
She walked in at the part where it's just Lois Lane.
Okay, so there's three of us talking tonight, debating. So each of us will get no more than 5 minutes to make your case as to which one of these movies is better, and then we'll go into which one is worse.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, you do you, boo-boo.
So,
we get 5 minutes to say why we like one better?
yes. And then you get to say why you think the other one is worse than the one that you think is better. 5 minutes of uninterrupted time.
Okay.
So that means you can talk and nobody else can
Argue.
argue with you.
Okay.
I don't need 5 minutes.
Okay. No, you get up to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. Alex, we'll start with you. The floor is yours.
Okay. Well, I rewatched BvS, Batman vs Superman, the other night, and I actually like it more than I did before because I like I like how Bruce Wayne did his detective work and was trying to figure stuff out and was trying to find out who was sending him the stuff. Another thing I liked was Lex Luthor, but I really don't like the actor who played Lex Luthor. I just like the role that Lex Luthor played, that he pit Batman and Superman up because he wanted Batman to kill Superman. Why that is, I don't know. I don't think they explained that all that much. They might have, but I don't know. I just think Batman versus Superman had less characters to deal with and had less storylines to follow, and it was more uh, linear. But I can see how it could be a little bit confusing to follow at times. But I don't know. When you watch it all the way through and you just sit there and you just pay attention to it and then rewatch it, I think it's not too hard to follow. And it sets up the next movie, Justice League, fairly well. In that regard, I don't know. I think it set up Justice League pretty well. The execution on both movies was poor. But yeah, I also like Batman. I was actually talking to my friends about it. They really disliked the whole Batman killing thing because they thought it was just DC trying to make a DC version of Punisher. But I disagreed. I don't mind Batman killing, especially at his age. I think that added a deeper grit to his character. I don't like how he had like all the miniguns on his gun or on his ship and on his car. I thought that was a little bit too much, but him killing it doesn't bug me all that much. But I can understand how it can bug somebody. Superman was god awful, but he wasn't as bad as he was in Justice League. Yeah. Oh yeah. The what's her name? Wonder Woman. It was kind of odd, but I didn't mind the inclusion of her. I don't like how they put all the focus on her in the final battle. I thought that was kind of strange, but the inclusion of Wonder Woman wasn't too awfully bad. But yeah. Lois Lane was a good character too. I like Lois Lane. I like how she like fought like tooth and nail for Superman's innocence when nobody else did besides Clark. Everybody was just kind of putting the blame on Superman, and it kind of humanized him, and it like made people think of an actual threat that Superman could be. And I think that just messed with Batman's head and the lies that Lex Luthor was feeding him. I thought it was coordinated very well, and it set up why they were fighting very well. Like, because Batman versus Superman, you have to have a reason for why they're fighting, and I think Lex Luthor was that good reason. So that's about it.
All right, Austin, your 5 minutes.
Oh man, these movies. Batman versus Superman. I liked it more because, well, in the whole like universe that they're trying to set up here, it felt more thought out. Obviously, that was kind of taken apart whenever the director changed, but it felt more thought out in the beginning, and I feel like Justice League and Batman versus Superman did the exact opposite of each other, where Batman versus, and only one of them I liked, where Batman versus Superman did multiple storylines, but were able to fit it all in one movie, and it was, even though at some points it gets confusing, it's impressive that they were able to tie them all in at the end. But in Justice League, it all just felt rushed. But they were focusing on one storyline. And I just didn't know how that happened. And it felt like they gave themselves way too much air room because they were only focusing on one story now. So it felt so slow. And so I think Batman versus Superman is better for me. And I like the Batman in this one as well. I also like the Bruce Wayne. I like this Bruce Wayne as much as Christian Bale, if not a bit more, if not a bit less. They're kind of on par with me. I like Christian Bale's Batman a bit more, but this one was pretty okay. Don't really have much to say about the Superman. It was better watching it. Like, I could actually see the emotion on Henry Cavill's face watching it back. I really I don't know what the word for that is. I caricatured his emotionless way more in this movie than I thought I did. So watching it back, he actually wasn't too bad. He is in Justice League though, and that's why I don't really like Justice League as much either. In Justice League, he's stone-faced. And so I actually did like him pretty okay in this movie. I didn't like Lois Lane as the part. I thought she was a good actor, and I thought she like was a good love interest, but like she just kept doing dumb things. I didn't understand why. Like throwing the spear in the water and then immediately regretting that was the biggest frustration in the world to me. But yeah, I think that Batman vs Superman was a pretty okay movie, but it had its weak points, and then the DC people immediately just sequelized Justice League with that, and I just think it wasn't as good because of that.
Okay. So obviously, I'm going to have a different opinion from both Alex and Austin. One thing I will agree on, however, is Austin's statement, and Alex made the same statement, of Henry Cavill's Superman in Batman vs. Superman.
Mm-hmm.
I think we did look at it through, like, prejudicial eyes against DC, and we really focused on all the negatives that could have been, and really focused on Henry Cavill's performance. And it wasn't actually all that bad in Batman vs. Superman. But in Justice League, him being stone-faced and stuff like that, there's actually more of a reason for that. It's because he's brought back to life. And you see that at the beginning, and you see him trying to come to terms and trying to cope with being alive again, because it's got to be a shock. And then you do start to kind of see him have more emotions, actually, in Justice League than he did in Batman vs. Superman, especially when they're all fighting Steppenwolf. He's got the comedy. He's got that comedy edge to him. The comedic one-lines that he didn't have in Batman vs. Superman. For me, Batman vs. Superman was just overall a clunky movie. I was watching it, and I picked out 4 different plot lines that really never got answered, or they didn't get answered well enough to the satisfaction of what the movie presented.
It was a lot for other movies in the future.
Right.
No, I'm saying that's a bad thing.
Yeah. Okay.
They were setting up and
they did.
It was such a big risk if they didn't make any more movies.
Right. So I watched the 3-hour-long Ultimate Edition, which
As well as
had,
I as well.
which had so many extra points in it, and we're going to get into that after this. And one of the things that I didn't like is I didn't like the blatant killing that Batman was doing in the real world. In the dream sequence, it's a little different because it's a different universe, a different dimension.
I thought it was the future.
It is, but it's an alternate future. That's what I meant to say, alternate future.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry.
It's the future if Lois Lane died.
Right. But in the present, the blatant killing, the blatant disregard that Batman had for lives was, to me, was a little unnerving. Batman's one rule has always been that he doesn't kill, and we see that through all of the movies. We see that through the cartoons. We see that in the comic books. And then all of a sudden, here comes Batman, and he's blatantly killing people. He's shooting them. He's running over them.
There was a large execution issue because I see all of the motivation, but the execution was wrong.
And I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I will say, however, after rewatching both movies, I was actually impressed with Ben Affleck's portrayal as Bruce Wayne. And there's certain parts that I want to get into here in just a minute because my time is running over, and I apologize. But his execution as Batman was a little more lackluster than other performances.
Yeah.
But that's why and for me, Justice League had a smoother storyline than Batman versus Superman did. And that is the end of my time.
Yeah.
So now,
I just want to add, I could see the Batman being lackluster in these movies only because it's something I really didn't see until like I rewatched the movies. But he really is just a man among gods, and it kind of sucks.
yeah.
Like you can see the pain on him like throughout both movies where he's just getting fucked up the entire time.
Right. One thing that I will say that and now to clarify, now it's a free for all.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
let's start talking.
Yeah. One thing I will say, there's 2 points that I want to make, both about Batman versus Superman and Justice League, and the way that Zack Snyder actually portrayed Batman and Bruce Wayne in these 2 movies.
Mm.
One of the things that I really loved about Batman versus Superman is so there really hasn't been a superhero movie that has really focused on the collateral damage that, mutants or
I was about to bring that up.
Yeah. Mutants or metahumans can actually do, or aliens, can actually do to the surrounding environment.
Now, are we just talking about DC?
No, well,
we do see it in X-Men a lot.
Marvel does it too.
But we don't see the aftermath. We see the collateral damage, but we don't see the aftermath. Marvel touched on it a little bit.
Spider-Man. I mean, Spider-Man.
They're digging up the crash site, and then the people fire the people that are cleaning up the crash site because it's alien tech, and it shows how the government
that was actually pretty,
took those jobs from people
brutal.
that were trying to clean up and rebuild their city for what the Avengers did.
But for me, the beginning of Batman versus Superman was a little more human, because we actually see the pain in Bruce Wayne's eyes, and we see the hate when he sees what happens and what they did to his building and his employees.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that I wanted to point out that was actually good in Batman versus Superman.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think that ties into him killing and stuff, because he saw what Superman was doing and saw that Superman has no regard for human life, and Superman had no care for the people of Metropolis when he was fighting Zod. He just wanted to fight Zod because he's his enemy. He was destroying the world he lived in. He just didn't care. He didn't care about the people. He cared about the world. And when he saw his building crash, he was like, well, if he has no regard for human life, then, why not? So, but you do see that he has care. Batman has care for innocent people, but when it comes to criminals that are just awful and evil, I honestly don't think killing would be the worst thing. Because, Batman has definitely done way worse things in the past than killing. I think it's just silly to keep him to that code of he can't kill, even though he's definitely done way worse things than kill.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where he never breaks his moral compass. He just breaks a rule.
Yeah,
it's he definitely is still only going for bad guys.
Yeah, but then
he's not killing because he wants to kill. He's just killing because he's not fooling around with turning them into a vegetable for the rest of their life. He just wants to get through them as quickly as he can. For instance, in the warehouse scene when he was arriving, he didn't want to fool with all those vehicles one by one, so he just ran through them with his minigun because he didn't have time to fool around with saving their lives. He had to save Martha's life because that is what was most important at the time.
Right. The scene that I'm referencing is the scene in where he's trying to get the kryptonite. This is blatantly breaking the law. Superman Batman is breaking the law. Yeah, he is a vigilante, but he usually does things. He bends rules.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things where, whenever you hear the word vigilante, you always have caped and masked vigilante with it, and it makes it sound smaller. But whenever you have like the word vigilante, you can associate it with Deadpool and Punisher and him, and the other two counterparts that kind of go where he goes is needless killing. And I feel like he definitely falls on a line now where it makes, they first made it make sense, and then it made sense, and then they put it into the movie, and then he was still morally just. So I feel like they definitely delivered it correctly. I can see why you're upset because of Batman, but in the case of like vigilante and the laws that he would understand and the moral compass, I feel like he still is on the correct edge.
Yeah. Just because you kill somebody doesn't make you bad.
Yeah, especially in like comic book stuff.
Right. Yeah. The thing is, especially in that scene, Batman was doing whatever the hell he wanted to justify his ends.
Yeah,
and,
but he was being fed lies by Lex Luthor, and like he was just desperate to stop Superman at all costs.
I feel like that's definitely, this Batman is justifying anything to do whatever he wants.
Right.
Because we see it even in scenes where he's not killing people, like in scenes where he's designing stuff in the lab and all that.
Yeah.
He's still making up all these reasons that don't exactly logically make sense, but they make sense enough for him to bend the rules.
I can see the point. I can. And I mean, I guess 20 years of fighting criminals.
And the breaking.
Yeah, Joker said it best. You either die a hero, or you live long enough to become one.
Yeah.
Or you either die a hero, or you live long enough to become the villain.
Yeah.
And in Batman versus Superman, Batman was turning into that. He was turning into the villain.
And there's definitely comics that go down that road.
Yeah.
And definitely touch on this subject, but I feel like this is it's only upsetting because this is the first movie to touch on it, and it's weirder to see it visually.
Yeah, it's just a shocker to some people. Like, wow, Batman kills. I mean, yeah, he kills in this one.
Yeah, it was extremely shocking, especially when he is jumping through the building, lands on the truck, and blatantly just like runs over 3 of them. Just like takes them out, and you're just like, holy shit.
But also, you're talking about movies where the other 2 people that are just in this movie don't kill. Wonder Woman doesn't kill, and Superman doesn't kill.
Right.
You're also talking about hired guns that took out a whole village of people in the desert and have no regard for human life. Like, these people are the bottom of the barrel for like just evil. Like,
yeah,
if he's not turning him into a vegetable, I'm fine with him killing him.
You're talking about an action movie. He's the only murder relief that we can have in this movie, really.
Yeah. So one of the things that really bugged me about Batman versus Superman was the just jumbled mess of plot lines there that really didn't make sense.
I don't know. This is the only part that I've ever disagreed with you. Yeah, this is the only thing that I've ever disagreed with you whenever it comes to Batman versus Superman.
Right.
Because I don't think it's a good movie. I think it's an okay movie.
It's not as bad as I originally thought when we first reviewed it back when it came out. However, one of the biggest issues that I have, one of the small plot lines that turns into a bigger plot line that made absolutely no sense was the bullet.
The bullet?
The bullet that Lois Lane finds.
Oh,
yeah. I think that was mainly for like filler, but I don't know. I think it shows like Lois's determination, and I think the bullet stuff was mainly just to build Lois Lane's character, not only as a reporter but as an investigative reporter. I think that was mainly just to build Lois Lane's character.
I don't know about story making sense too much, but it was definitely a one-sided object that allowed Lois Lane to have scenes, and I feel like that was the whole point of it.
Right, but it's a pointless. It's a pointless plot.
It's like it was actually
It's
the
not
bullet that
pointless.
mattered in those scenes. It was Lois Lane.
I mean, it
Yeah,
was pointless.
it was-
There was no connect. The only connection was that it came from Lex Luthor's lab, and that he was trying to set up Wonder Woman, or trying to set up Superman in the desert.
Yeah.
But she figured out who. She figured it.
She figured it out, and then she got abducted before she could do anything about it.
Again, the thing is it was a useless plot line that just took up time that we thought was going to go somewhere, but just ended up. So it's like this build on this plot line, and then it's like, oh well, it really didn't need to be there.
I think it's just because we're comic book people and we saw it a lot easier that the answer to the question was very obvious. But that doesn't mean the question didn't need to be asked.
Yeah.
You know, because the bullet belonged to one of the mercenaries, and one of the mercenaries was setting up Superman, and the people that were setting up Superman were the mercenaries who were ran by LexCorp. We knew that obviously because we know every single part of the storyline already. But
yeah, we're not seeing the story through Lois Lane's eyes. We're seeing it through like our eyes.
Right.
We're seeing how the story played out.
Why did that need to be in the movie?
So that Lois Lane could be included, because for better or for worse, she was included in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, it just
also
showed her determination to prove Superman's innocence. Like,
yeah,
not only
and they had to
Superman,
have
but
the
Clark.
Superman bits in there, because the Batman bits were filled up. You had Batman, you had his butler, I forget his name.
Alfred.
Yeah. And then you have all of his investigation stuff. Batman's doing everything by himself. That is all of his plotline is filled up by him.
Yeah.
Superman, without these extra scenes that help the Superman plotline, it's just Superman flying around feeling sad. And so I feel like these things help us understand why there's so much put on him, because the more and more things you have that prove that other people are actually actively hurting Superman to try and humanize him, the more you can actually realize why Superman was so humanized in this movie.
To me, it still just doesn't. So one of my biggest contentions about Batman versus Superman is, again, it's the multiple plot lines.
Mm-hmm.
It's the fact that movie could have literally been split into two movies, and the two main plot lines that were focused on the movie, could have been fleshed out so much easier. It could have been done so much better. They took two stories, two literal stories, mashed them into one, tried to build on both within the time frame that they had. And while they tied them together at the end, the tie-in at the end really wasn't that great.
Well, I know exactly how to not turn this around, but like in my head this makes sense, right? The problem with DC has always been, and we've said this on the show since Suicide Squad, whatever came out before that. The problem with DC is how overzealous they are. And you can see where it made both of these. The reason I don't like Justice League and the reason you don't like Batman versus Superman. Batman versus Superman was all of their shit put into one movie. And then they had Justice League and they were like, well, fuck, we used all of our shit. And now there's scenes where just nothing is happening in Justice League. And so they were too overzealous with one movie. And then the next movie they were like, well, now we have nothing. And I feel like they just created problems for themselves.
And see, I think it's just the opposite, honestly. I think what they did with Batman versus Superman is they took all this information, all this material that they had, and crammed it into one movie, and just overloaded the movie with information. And it was
But
just
how
information.
would you separate that?
You could have the Superman versus Doomsday, and you could have Batman versus Superman. You could have Batman versus Superman before Batman versus Doomsday. You could have had the fight between Batman versus Superman. You could have taken Lex Luthor out of the picture, and you could have had Batman versus.
Part of the story, though.
Yeah, I feel like Lex Luthor's the only reason that they're fighting.
Yeah, because he framed Superman in the very first scene in the desert. He framed Superman. That was Lex Luthor. He blew up the Capitol. That was Lex Luthor. And then people tossed the blame on Superman that he didn't catch it and that he didn't save people and stuff like that.
And he's the only reason that they have the Justice League as well. He's both reasons.
Okay.
Because he's the reason that they fought, but then he created Doomsday, and he's the only reason that they came together.
Okay. So what they could have done is they could have had keep the Batman versus Superman storyline in there with Lex Luthor.
Mm-hmm.
Just had it Batman versus Superman.
Mm-hmm.
But then have Man of Steel 2, where they could have had the entire.
Oh God.
No, hold on. They could have had the entire storyline without Doomsday at the end.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it could have ended with Superman rescuing Martha, or Batman rescuing Martha, Superman capturing Lex Luthor.
Mm-hmm.
That could have been the end.
Mm-hmm.
The next movie, Luthor could have escaped, as we saw at the end of Batman versus Superman, or at the end of Justice League. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Where Lex Luthor escaped, and then he could have created Doomsday. And then, as Superman is trying to fight Doomsday, then you introduce Batman, because now they're friends. Then you introduce Batman and Wonder Woman for them to both fight Doomsday. And then from there, you lead into the Justice League.
Well, I mean,
that sounds more complicated than just having it all one movie.
And
just to simplify it,
that's such a large what if on your side for Batman versus Superman. It begs the question of what is the what if for Justice League? Because Justice League was such a boring movie. There was
BvS
almost
set
no
up
substance.
Justice League. Like, it set it up to be a movie to follow up Batman versus Superman, and then they were just, well, fuck it, we're not gonna do that.
Yeah, I feel like Justice League with all
everything in Justice League
totally
really just made no sense to what happened in Batman versus Superman. Because when Superman came back to life, Batman and Superman were beefing again for no reason. Like, they squashed it right before Superman died, and then all of a sudden Superman's back and he's wanting to kill Batman again. That made no sense. That made no sense to me whatsoever. Like, when they brought him back, they were in the center of Metropolis, and Superman was shirtless. Like, that scene made no sense.
Yeah, he was fighting everyone that he just made friends with. And we know that he was coherent because he saw Lois Lane. And he was like, oh, meat.
Right.
He was brought back and he was angry and whatnot, but like...
Right, but...
It made no sense of why he attacked his friends.
Okay, so I can explain this.
Okay.
Superman has a deeper connection with Lois Lane. We already know that.
Yeah.
He's had a relationship with Lois Lane since Man of Steel. So that's why he can recognize Lois Lane and be like, oh, hey, that's my girlfriend. That's the woman I love.
It's so weird, though. Because, like, he can't recognize the person that saved his mother, like, from burning to a crisp.
I wasn't even thinking about that.
The thing is,
like,
is if you... Right, but if you
the person that fought by his side against Doomsday? It was just weird. Why they fought.
That's short-term memory loss. I mean,
if he had short-term memory loss, and he wouldn't have remembered Lois. He would have just said, oh, that's a redhead right there.
Well, that's long-term memory loss.
No, that's long-term memory because all of those emotions. There's an emotional connection, and emotional connections last longer within the brain. They get stored in your long-term memory, and he's had a deeper, longer relationship with Lois Lane, which means he can actually remember his feelings for Lois Lane.
Yeah, but if you had short-term memory loss,
strong feeling. We already know that strong feelings will overtake weaker feelings. Hate will overtake like any day of the week. Love or acceptance.
Yeah.
Love will overtake hate any day. Okay?
Yeah, but if it's
he doesn't hate
short-term memory
Batman.
loss, but if it's short-term memory loss, then why did he say, you won't let me live, you won't let me die? That means he knows he died.
Yeah.
That means he remembered he died, which would
Yeah.
be at the end of that would be at the end of his memory.
Yeah, it made no sense. That scene was just not a good scene.
Plus,
And it
he
took
fucked
up
up all of the names of the people that died as well. He fucked up the whole memorial.
Doomsday did part of that, but
they fixed it.
yeah, they fixed it, and then Superman was like,
No, they did not.
whatever.
no, because you can see when he's standing there, you can still see the 2 broken pieces in the back because
They
the
just
statue
made
is
it more.
broken. Yeah.
That makes no sense.
He just fully wrecked that shit.
But
That scene just makes no sense. It's just a bad scene.
He's pissed off at Batman because they fought. And he's pissed off because he brought him back to life. He's pissed off because he has screwed him up, because he's in this emotional state right now. Because if you remember, as soon as he sees Lois Lane, that's when everything triggers, and he's like, oh shit, these are my friends. Because he's fighting Wonder Woman as well.
If he said, oh shit, these are my friends, then why did he basically break Batman's ribs? Like, he threw Batman against the cop car and flew off with Lois Lane. Like,
he's also fighting people he's never met.
But he's fighting Wonder Woman, though. And
But
Wonder Woman literally saved his life.
Flash and Aquaman.
but if you think about it, he didn't even want to fight Batman in the first place in BvS. He was like, why would I fight Batman for? The only reason why he originally went to go see Batman was to either make amends and team up, or to fight him and save Martha. And obviously they fought because Batman wouldn't listen. But right when the fight is over, Batman throws a spear and they're all cool again. There's no like anger or animosity or nothing between the two. There's an understanding that, hey, my mom is on the line and she needs to be saved. And they're like, okay, cool. I got Martha, you get Lex. Okay, cool.
Okay.
But if you're going to go with the strong feelings create memories thing, the last memory he had was not a hatred of Batman. It was the reason why he killed himself, which was Lois Lane was right there. He stole the spear. He stabbed it into Doomsday. Doomsday killed him. That was
and like the last 3 people he ever saw was Batman and Wonder Woman fighting Doomsday right by his side till the very end, and Lois. Why, when he woke up, did he see Batman and was like, this guy ruined my life, when he really didn't?
Yeah, I'd be mad at Lex. That'd be
Yeah,
the first,
I would go see
jump
the
in his
first
face
person
and
I'd
find
go
that
to is
trail.
Lex Luthor.
Yeah. I'd have my fucking headhunter on him.
That, and the reason why Superman is so stone-faced in Justice League is because his face was all CGI. He had a mustache and beard for Mission Impossible, and they did a shitty cover-up of it.
Yeah, it was not good. You could see it mostly in that scene too. Where
Yeah.
It wasn't the slow motion. It was right after that when he's flying in the air. You can see that something's wrong with his face.
That when he's like getting at Batman, it's like, you won't let me live, you won't let me die. That is so bad.
So, okay, I will admit that the CGI Justice League needed some work, especially on Steppenwolf. Steppenwolf was bad CGI.
He looked like he was against a green screen and he was fake.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what happened.
CGI green screen.
Yeah.
Honestly, Steppenwolf should not have been in that movie. It made no sense why he was in that movie.
Also, yeah, so that is the only thing that I really, really hate about Justice League is in Batman versus Superman, they have these 3 mother boxes. They have Lex Luthor talking to Steppenwolf, and then they have Steppenwolf shift away, and they make him sound like this huge bad guy in the movie. And then in the next movie, you not only meet him in the same movie, but you defeat him in the same movie. And they do it really easily.
So I want to correct you on one thing real quick.
What?
In Batman versus Superman, he's not talking to Steppenwolf. He's going through the archives of the ship. And that's when he sees...
Okay, then that makes it even worse, because that means that we didn't even get an introduction to him in Batman versus Superman.
But we did, because that's foreshadowing the the villain of the next movie.
Right,
I
but
just
the
think-
villain
I
of the
think
next
it's
movie
such a
is a
hard-
bad villain, and like
Yeah.
nobody knew who he was. He was just this guy with horns and an axe, and he's trying to get 3 boxes. That is so like just out of this world crazy to me. How they took
The
a
thing is,
character
I
that
know,
nobody knows and made him into
Yeah.
this big bad villain that got his ass kicked 4 times.
Yeah.
the thing is if you look at the DC universe outside of the cinematic universe, Steppenwolf does play a big part.
That's what we're saying.
Right. Well, the thing
It's like
I mean, you
he's
could-
such an That's like if they brought in Doomsday in the next. No. Yeah.
Apocalypse,
No.
Darkseid.
Darkseid.
Yeah.
They brought Darkseid into the next movie and they just fucked him up. Like I would not enjoy that movie. And I feel like that's because a lot of people that have to know these comics with Steppenwolf, that's what I feel like people are more disappointed with that movie is just because the villain in the first movie is a killable villain. He's been killed before. And he's been killed in Man of Steel where he was Zod, and then he was killed again where he was just a bigger Zod.
Right.
This was a big villain that they were just like, fuck it.
Doink, you're
I
dead.
feel like yeah. And he was killed really easily.
I don't even think Steppenwolf should have been the main villain. I honestly think Doomsday, or not Doomsday. I think Darkseid should have been the main villain of the first movie, and here's why. In the DC animated movies, the very first movie that set up that whole universe, Justice League 4, the first villain in that movie was Darkseid. They had a tough time with Darkseid, and he was like taking over Gotham City and Metropolis, but they eventually defeat him, and he goes back to Apocalypse. The very last villain in that cinematic universe is a pissed off Darkseid that wants even more revenge, and well, spoiler alert, it kind of does, and it's kind of badass.
Okay, that's actually not a bad idea. I thought you were gonna say defeat him in the first movie.
Like if you take the Avengers, Loki was the first villain in the Avengers. Thanos was pulling strings, but we knew Loki, and Loki had other goals besides taking over New York. He wanted to rule Earth for Thanos. That was Loki's goal. Steppenwolf was Darkseid's bitch. He did what Darkseid wanted, and he even failed at it. Like he didn't even get close to. He took over a silo in the middle of Russia, or a nuclear thing in the middle of Russia. Loki took over all of New York.
And I would have been totally fine with Steppenwolf being the Loki of this movie, but they made him sound so much bigger. We knew that Loki was just a child with a staff. There was some like a council of people were like, "Here you go," and then he was off. Steppenwolf sounded like the mob boss in this movie, and they were like, "Well, we fucking doinked you. You're dead."
Yeah, and like,
but
I don't know, DC just has other villains that they could have built on, like Brainiac. There's another one.
Yeah,
they have a lot of villains that they could have used.
The leader.
But yeah,
and I can see that. Right? I can see the point that you're trying to make. And,
I want to see a Kronos.
Yeah, and I will admit that there are some issues within Justice League, and we have all discussed this before off air, and we're all looking forward to
and on there because we reviewed that movie. Right?
Yeah, and we're all looking forward to Zack Snyder's cut, and hopefully that'll explain Steppenwolf a little more.
I
supposed to bring in
really
Darkseid.
Well, Darkseid's actually in that movie.
Yeah.
It's in the
I want
Snyder
it
cut.
to be really good so that we can have Zack Snyder for more movies, or I want it to be really bad so I can be like, you spent so much money for this to come out. It's still shit.
Right? So, if we're going off the premise of, like, fighting, stuff like that, let's go back to Batman versus Superman.
Okay.
And the actual fight between Batman and Superman.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when Superman first gets there, he's trying to talk to Batman. Batman's not listening. Batman's in this armor that is literally just metal armor.
Because we already know the sides here. We were talking about earlier with the whole why would Superman be mad? Superman isn't actually mad, but Batman is pissed.
Right.
Yeah.
So Batman is upset because
Superman dropped a building on his employees.
Yeah, Yeah.
And it's just been a hatred that's been brewing.
Yeah, and Batman wants to stop this guy from doing the same thing to others.
He's specious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is Superman has the power to literally stop Batman as soon as he lands. Like, if he really wanted Superman, if he really wanted Batman to listen to him, all he would have had to do was literally stop everything that he was doing. The fight between Batman and Superman literally made no sense.
It made.
But that's why the movie's called Batman versus Superman.
And I'll make a preposition for you. I'll tell you why it made perfect sense. One, I mean, obviously the first one is it's called Batman versus Superman. They have to have a fight.
Right.
But second reason is that Superman is not only, because we know that Superman in a lot of movies is not actually like good guy. He's very prideful. He's very arrogant. He's very ignorant. You see that a lot in this movie. That he's very prideful. He's very arrogant. He's very ignorant. He thinks that he can change Superman because he's changed the hearts of the world. And right now, he is desperate to literally change any person's heart right now because he's just lost all of America. And so, you know, in that moment, this is literally the last shot he has to still be a good guy. And so, of course, he's going to take every shot because he thinks that he can still do it. Because also, if he doesn't do it, then that's all of everyone against him.
Right.
Batman is his last shot.
But
then Batman is the underestimated hero. And I feel like the question of Batman versus Superman throughout the years has always been everybody underestimates Batman.
Right.
But Batman has shit set up.
Right.
And then he hits him with the kryptonite.
Right.
And then the fight actually starts.
And the problem that I have is that when it was obvious that Batman wasn't going to listen.
But
like right off the bat.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Is I don't know if it was obvious to Superman.
But
that's what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, when he started to come after him, even before he used the kryptonite, when Superman landed and said, "Hey," when he was trying to say, "Hey, I need your help," Batman wouldn't listen and just came after him. Superman literally could have pinned Batman down. Batman couldn't have done anything.
Yeah.
Like literally nothing. Could have pinned him down and said, "Hey, this is what I need. This is what's going on."
He wasn't trying to provoke Batman though. But Superman didn't know what Batman had up his sleeve. Like he just didn't know.
Yeah.
So if he would have charged Batman, who knows what would have happened?
Batman bitch slaps him. Like, and we see that throughout the entire movie. Is that he is so in tune with his strength that he doesn't think that Batman can even stand a chance. He literally bitch slaps him and then punches him up a roof, and then Batman's like, "Okay, this is enough." So kryptonite. It was Batman's breaking point in this scene, not Superman's.
Whether Superman was trying or not, Superman was just being cocky and arrogant. Well, not really cocky, but he was being very arrogant at the time. He's like, "Well, I'm Superman. Who's gonna have the balls to fight me? I'm gonna talk to you, and you're gonna listen." And so they start walking back, and then he steps on the speakers, takes out his hearing, and then the fight starts.
Yeah, because even though he's upset about everything, and he's in a desperate situation, his mind is already crazy. So I don't even think he thinks straight. But not only is he in a crazy situation, but this man literally was the only survivor of an entire exploded Capitol building. I think in that moment he was like, "Nah, this bitch can't take me."
There were survivors, but there were like people that were uninjured.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
But like, I mean,
he was the only one that was unaffected.
Boom. Yeah.
But let me ask you this:
okay.
If you had the literal strength of a god, and you saw this guy that's suited up in this armor, basically this walking tank, and you needed his help, it was obvious that he was pissed off at you because when you land, it's obvious that this guy is going to fight you.
So I see where you're going.
Wouldn't you do everything in your power to just get him to listen because time is running out.
So
Little time is running out. So if you fight this guy, you're wasting time. So what you have to do is you have to do everything in your power, everything in your means to stop this guy and have him listen to you.
So the thing
is,
is, Dad.
Part the walking tank, then no, he's no longer a walking tank to help you.
So no. That whole argument is invalid. We are not Superman. We are not as arrogant as Superman. Of course, we, knowing what that is in front of us, we know our power. Alex, me, I know. Okay, that's a guy. I'm not as arrogant as Superman. Superman is not us. We are not Superman. Superman as a character is arrogant and he's powerful. He's gonna use his threat, like he's gonna try to threaten Batman with his presence, but that just fails because Batman isn't scared. When people see Superman, they either have hope or fear, and in this situation, it was neither because he couldn't tell what Batman was. He didn't know, so he went with his first tactic. Well, I'll just threaten him with my presence. I'm Superman. Who's gonna have the balls to fight Superman? Me, you, and Austin, we think different than Superman. We are not Superman.
Only
of course,
two
we're going to
people
attack first because we know what happened.
Batman and Lex Luthor. In this universe, those are the only two people that aren't afraid of Superman. And Superman doesn't know that Lex Luthor is not the only one.
I still think it was, again, I get to the point that the whole movie was rushed and crammed together with many different plot lines.
I don't think it was rushed. I think it was unplanned.
It just was a little bumpy.
Poorly executed, and it was...
Because I felt like the timing was pretty okay. It was just a bit clunky.
Yeah. I tell you what.
Two different movies mashed into one, whereas Justice League, and so it's been mentioned by both of you that Justice League is a bunch of different stories crammed into one.
No, that's not what I said. I said that I agreed with you that Batman versus Superman is a bunch of stories crushed into one. I think they do it okay, but they are all crushed into one. I think that Justice League is one story drawn out way too long.
And see, I disagree. I think it's, so for me, Justice League is more of a fluid movie than Batman versus Superman is. It has, so Justice League has a starting point and it has an ending point. In the middle,
it can be fluid because there's nothing in it.
Well, in the middle, we have,
there's nothing to it.
I disagree. The thing is in the middle, between the beginning and the end, we have all the reasons why everything is happening. We have the reason why they need to get Aquaman, Cyborg, and Flash with them. We have the reasons why Cyborg is the way he is. We don't need... we
have the reason why Cyborg is the way he is because of the movie prior.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But we don't have all these convoluted storylines muddling up the essential plot line of the movie. It's for lack of better terms, it's a simple movie that's easy to follow and easy to sit through.
It's simple.
Whereas
Batman versus simple and easy doesn't make it better.
Yeah, I think as a movie, maybe it's just because as a movie person that like already likes complicated movies. I like puzzle movies and stuff like that. I like complicated movies. Batman versus Superman is way more enticing to me than Justice League. Justice League is like
League what's gonna happen.
What the fuck is that? Justice League is like Fast and the Furious, where Batman versus Superman is like Die Hard, where Die Hard is multiple plots, but they all are in one movie. Whereas Fast and the Furious is like car, go drive.
Yeah. The problem with Batman versus Superman, and you know me, I like complex movies. I like movies that...
I'm apparently not tonight. Evidencing.
Well, it's because Batman versus Superman just doesn't do it well because they have so many different subplots that they bring in that really don't add anything to the movie.
I don't think they add anything.
They actually detract from the movie.
No.
Yeah.
That's where I disagree.
Because
I don't think
they have the build up. They have the build, and then it's just, oh well, it's this. It's a very lackluster tie-in to the movie.
Well, they're not only adding to the story, but they're adding to further movies.
Yeah,
I kind of
think
to do that with one.
I think it's only lackluster because we're expecting it to add into this Dark Knight type thing where this clue happens to solve everything, and now that can continue the movie. Whereas in this, it's just a clue that solves something, and the movie's already continuing.
So the way I look at it is Batman versus Superman was trying to be like the movie Clue. I don't know if either one of you have seen it.
I've seen Clue, I've played the game, and I have also seen it on Playwright.
Okay, so the movie actually does take you down various different paths, and they do all come together, because that's the way the movie's supposed to be.
Yeah, but they all come together. I feel like Clue's a bad example, because they all come together at the end separately, whereas in this, they separately come together in the end.
But some of them don't even come together.
Like
Not in Clue, no.
No. In Batman versus Superman, they just
what doesn't come together in Batman versus Superman?
The bullet scene. The whole scene in the desert.
Why it makes sense.
The whole scene in the desert.
That's
the mercenaries the bullet is are from LexCorp, and they're blaming Superman.
But it wasn't needed.
It was. So this is why it's needed. Okay, it's the first scene. It's setting up Superman as the villain. Lex Luthor's pulling all these strings to frame Superman, and it's working throughout the movie. People are starting to distrust Superman. Lois Lane finds evidence. It's the only evidence she has, and she's finding out where that came from. They can't figure it out until, I don't know, 3/4 in the movie, and she gets abducted before she can do anything about it. The desert scene frame Superman, made people distrust him. I just jumbled my words.
Yeah, where'd you go? You already said the desert scene.
Okay, so
the only reason why people are distrusting Superman is originally the desert scene, is what I was trying to say.
Yeah, it's what sets up his quote-unquote villainy.
To me, it's fluff in the movie that could have been done differently.
It could have been done differently, but I don't think it didn't tie in.
It's like the dream sequence in the movie. The dream sequence was all fluff. That's literally all it was. It was literally all fluff, and it did not need to be.
But I feel like we're forgetting that this is a superhero movie.
The dream sequence set up Justice League.
Yeah,
is what it was.
That's true. It did set up Justice League.
Yeah.
It went from a 10-second scene to a 5-minute scene in Justice League.
And that's where I think they did it wrong, because they had the dark side symbol, the Omega symbol, right there in the middle of the land, and that's dark side symbol. And in the next movie, they don't use dark side.
Yeah.
Made no sense.
I literally feel like I don't think Batman versus Superman is a great movie by any means, but I feel like Justice League is just a flop of what they were trying to set up. Like, I feel like there's just none of what we were promised came through. And the characters in Justice League were bad. They were just. I didn't like Flash at all. I don't know. Dude, Flash was terrible. I didn't like Flash. Yeah. Dude. Okay, so
I actually like Flash in the movie.
So the Flash in Justice League is wrong on so many levels. First of all, Barry Allen is a confident, cocky, fast speedster that thinks he can do anything. This Barry Allen is a little wimp that doesn't know what he can do. When they first meet Steppenwolf, he was like, I just run and push people out of the way. I don't do much. It's like, you got to think more than that. Like, if it was actual Barry Allen, he was like, why don't I just, like, run really fast and punch him in the face? That's how confident Barry Allen is. This Barry Allen was not confident, and he wasn't sure of his powers.
Batman in
He
this
wasn't
movie
sure of
isn't
himself.
even overconfident, which means that this Barry Allen could have been Batman's son figure almost, where he's like, oh yes, I was like you at one point, but no, he just trips. That's it. That's all he does.
He's just there to be awkward. Like,
Yeah,
the Flash is there for like comedic
Flash.
relief, but this was not good comedic relief. It was awkward.
It was the same thing as Batman doing his grappling hook, and they played a laugh track. Like, he was there for comic relief, but he had none of the Flash quality.
Yeah, and it wasn't really comic relief. It was just awkward and weird.
Yeah, some of the times it did not make me laugh, in all honesty.
I didn't
There was
laugh
a couple
at all.
times where it
It
made me
wasn't
laugh,
funny.
but it didn't make me like think of the Flash at all.
Like the scene where he tips the sword back was cool and all, but I don't know. That, and when he has that awkward scene with Wonder Woman, like where he falls on her and everything, and then he gets back up and he's like all awkward. Like, what? Why was that a thing? Like, he could have. His whole thing is running and pushing people. His whole thing is running and pushing people out of the way. When we first see him try to run and push somebody out of the way, he trips and falls on her, and then creates an awkward scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he can't even be good at what he does.
Yeah.
There's not a character in BvS that does that.
No. I still
like
think
every
Lois Lane
character
was
in
the
Batman
best
vs.
Lois
Superman
Lane.
has a purpose.
Yeah. They don't introduce any extra characters. It is very like even if that's a bad thing, it is very narrow character. Like
Cyborg
every
was
single
just
character,
plot
they
armor.
have at least like 3 or 4 scenes.
I will say that I did not like Cyborg in Justice League.
Because he was just plot armor. That's all he was.
Yeah, Cyborg is not all metal and it's just half human head. There are bits of Cyborg that are still human.
Yeah. They definitely got from like the Teen Titans Cyborg because he is a lot like that.
Yeah.
But also, you know, what's the fun in that?
Yeah.
Because this was like all metal.
Yeah. They did do Cyborg an injustice in this movie.
I don't know if he's in that game.
What's that?
I don't know if he's in that game.
I don't think he was referencing the game. He 100% is.
I get what you said. Yeah. No, they definitely could have done Cyborg a lot better.
And the stupidest part about Cyborg in the whole universe is that because he's in this movie doing shit, he can't be in Teen Titans the show that is infinitely better.
Yeah.
Because they're in the same universe.
Are you talking about the Titans?
Yeah. The Titans show isn't in the same like Earth universe as.
No, it's not. But that's the whole reason he's not in Titans the show is because he's in the movies.
He's in Doom Patrol.
Trying to fix up their characters.
What? He's in Doom Patrol. He's in Doom Patrol, which is the same universe. Cyborg and Doom Patrol.
That's a different Cyborg, isn't it? He's called Robot Man.
Robot Man.
He actually is. Doom Patrol is the shittiest thing in the world.
I didn't watch.
I watched like one episode.
Yeah,
no, he is.
No, that's not. Okay, so the one
no,
that you're
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about, but he 100% is in Doom Patrol. I know what you guys are talking about, but there's another actor. He's actually Victor Stone, and he's in Doom Patrol, and his character design looks very, very good if you look it up. It's very spot on. But yeah, the guy that you're talking about, he's not Cyborg.
Man,
Mr. Robot or something like that.
It's Robot Man. I'm pretty sure it's Robot Man.
Robot Man. Yeah. See, I tried to watch one episode. I got through one episode. I was like, this is crap.
No,
yeah. He comes in later on.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
I don't feel like he's in that, but he can't be in Titans.
I don't think they do put him in Titans in like season 3.
Yeah,
it's coming up. Yeah.
I hope so.
Okay, so there's about 25 minutes left. There's one thing that I want to talk about that I think we can pretty much all agree on, hopefully, that was scrapped in both of these movies.
Okay.
So let's first talk about Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor.
Yeah, I do like that actor. I'm gonna say that. What is the
First and foremost.
First and foremost.
Yeah, I have nothing against Jesse Eisenberg. I've seen him in some movies that are actually really good.
Fucking love it.
I don't like Jesse Eisenberg at all. I just don't.
Now you see me, and now you see me too.
I don't. I don't. He might be good in those, but I don't like him as a person. I'm just not a fan of his.
No, he's kind of an asshole in real life.
Yeah, he's very pretentious and kind of a douchebag.
But I mean, and I know plenty of movies that I like him in.
So
this was not one of them.
The whole premise of Lex Luthor in both of these movies, and he was featured more in Batman versus Superman.
Oh yeah.
Which is one of the downfalls of the movie.
I don't think Lex Luthor's role was a downfall. I think the portrayal of Lex Luthor, like the character design, the way it was acted was poor, but I don't think the role of Lex Luthor was bad. If they got a different actor to do Lex Luthor, I think it would have been miles better. But since they got Jesse Eisenberg to do it, it flopped.
If they would have done it the same way, even with a different actor, it still would have been terrible. They portrayed.
I don't exactly understood, and I wish that if it was his father beat him in front of a Bible or something, it'd make sense. But I didn't understand the religious thing. I've never heard that in any of Lex Luthor's things or anything like that. But all of his references were to angels and demons and
really weird kind of egotistical thing with this Lex.
Yeah.
So Lex Luthor, comics, other movies, cartoons, animated movies, has always been
evil Bruce Wayne.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's
That's what I'm saying. If they would have used a bald evil Bruce Wayne, it would have been good. They
would have had to completely rewrite the entire movie and change it.
I don't understand the genius religion nut thing.
But the role that Lex Luthor plays is fine. Like him sending the fraudulent messages to Batman to make him hate Superman, him setting up Superman. The role of Lex Luthor in Batman vs Superman was not bad. The execution of the actor was terrible.
Yeah, his scripted portrayal and his actor portrayal both needed rework.
Right, and that's one of the biggest downfalls of Batman vs Superman, because you take Lex Luthor, who is this king of business. I mean, he is essentially untouchable in the world of business. He is, for lack of better comparison, almost the Donald Trump of business.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. Lex Luthor in this movie was just a skittish little nerd who was way in over his head.
Yeah.
So for most of the movie, because of the way they portrayed his relationship with his father, the way he portrayed the weird harkbacks that he has to all of these different references, and the way he portrayed how he thinks, he just gave off all Heath Ledger vibes. Not a good version of him.
Right.
But all Heath Ledger vibes.
He's trying to be. He was trying to.
And that would be somewhat okay if he was the Joker.
Yeah.
Which he wasn't.
No. If they could have brought Heath Ledger in this role, made Lex Luthor older.
No.
Yes. They need to have made Lex Luthor should have been older.
I don't think
he should have been older. I think he should have been more mature.
I think it was somebody Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
Bruce Willis if he could talk smart. That's exactly what I was picturing in my head.
I love Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis if he could talk smart.
He talks smart.
No, he doesn't.
Yes.
No, he doesn't.
He has a simplistic nature that makes him amazing. But
yeah.
An actual genius, they give him all these big words to say.
Honestly, Kevin Spacey did a great portrayal of Lex Luthor in Superman Returns. If they could have done something like that,
Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, somebody.
I don't think
somebody
that makes
this
it worse than Justice League, though.
Uh,
I don't think
No,
that
no,
one
I
thing makes it worse than Justice League.
No, I think his Lex Luthor was shit, but I think he still played the role that he was supposed to play. I think his portrayal of Lex Luthor was shit. I think
Yeah,
the
the
role that
portrayal
he
was shit, but yeah. Now,
Yeah.
if you look at Steppenwolf, his role could have been negated if he was just Darkseid and, like, I don't know, made him stronger, made him an actual threat.
That is
honestly, I think
exactly,
Steppenwolf is not as good as a villain as Lex Luthor.
Yeah, you are exactly right. I was always trying to find the word. Steppenwolf just never felt like a threat in the movie.
Yeah.
Lex Luthor felt like a threat. He made Superman turn on a human. He made Superman turn on the only human that fights for Gotham.
See, the thing is, Steppenwolf isn't even physically threatening or mentally threatening. Lex Luthor was mentally threatening. He, like, played with people's minds and, like, made them think differently. Steppenwolf was like, I have Big Axe and Darkseid, but then he never used Darkseid, never once talked to Darkseid in the original theatrical release. Didn't mention Darkseid. Well, he mentioned him, but he never, like, talked about him. He just either ran away, got his ass kicked, or was taken away by parademons.
Yeah.
He was not a threat.
He never felt like he was an actual threat to the Justice League.
He never looked like a threat either. Like, he just looked
that's
like
what you have to do.
Weird.
In a movie, because we do it in the Avengers, there's literally like 50 superheroes in that movie. And they make somebody that is a threat to that many people. But Steppenwolf and even Darkseid, because Darkseid is, it's just like those things of like, I'm the manager, but you're the smaller worker. You being the smaller worker have to look good so that I look good.
Yeah.
I've been trying. Darkseid sent Steppenwolf as like yes, this is a good choice, and he wasn't. And so that makes Darkseid in this universe look like an idiot.
Okay, but are we forgetting that Steppenwolf literally beat the shit out of half the female warriors at Themyscira? Beat the shit out of half
those
the
are strong women on horses. This is not Superman.
Well, beat the shit out of
he did nothing in Atlantis. He beat Mira, that's it.
Okay, but he beat the shit out of the Justice League, which is why they had to get Superman.
When did he beat the shit out of the Justice League?
Yeah, they just
in the tunnel.
They just wanted Superman.
No, he did not beat the shit out of the Justice League.
No.
Wonder Woman whooped his ass.
He got hurt by somebody that tripped.
Yeah. Wonder Woman kicked his ass.
He got hurt by somebody that tripped. And then
did.
Aquaman was like, bring shark through sewer.
Well, see, the thing is, so Wonder Woman and Steppenwolf were fighting, and there was really no winner until they got onto the ground, and then she did her little, like, bracer thing, which pushed him back way far. And then Cyborg launched the rockets at him. He caught one of the rockets and blew a hole, and then he ran away because he knew he couldn't win.
Mm-hmm. And then they were like, we need Superman. Kind of no reason why they actually needed Superman.
Yeah, they didn't really need Superman. It was so he could pull the mother boxes apart.
Which is
Cyborg.
Also one of the biggest one of the biggest things that I think is stupid about Justice League is that they made this whole giant scene at the end of Batman versus Superman, and then they had this small little thing that before the Ultimate Edition you had to watch the end of the credits to find out about, and then they bring him back in the next movie. That's dumb.
That and like the one family.
They didn't need him.
The one family in all of Russia that they had to save. Like there was no like actual threat. Like Steppenwolf was taking over an abandoned nuclear silo in the middle of Russia, or whatever country it was. I don't remember, but it was
a Slavic country.
Yeah, one of those Slavic
There was
countries.
no actual like I don't know what the word. Like in Avengers, well, a threat, but like in Avengers, there was a cost. Like they had to save the people of New York. Who the hell are they going to save in the middle of Russia? Like, the Flash literally could have got them out of there in, like, 2 seconds. That family of four, like, that one family of four in all of Russia.
But then you got Superman carrying the building with all the people in it.
But that's the thing. He got them out of there so quick. There was no actual casualties or threat. They got him out of there quick, and they're like, okay, let's fight Steppenwolf. And then they created a paradise.
They were able to get to Steppenwolf and beat him before that shit ever got near an actual town.
No, they were the stuff. If you remember, the stuff was coming after the truck.
Of 4 people.
But it was also in amongst the city where Superman had to grab the building.
There was no okay. One apartment building does not constitute a city.
No.
One apartment building compared to millions of people in New York? No way.
Yeah.
There was no actual threat.
I mean, they were still innocent people that needed to be saved. Regardless of how many
people died and they beat Steppenwolf, there was like a 40 count. Like there was no world-ending threat. There was no country-ending threat. There wasn't even a city-ending threat because 40 people is not the population of any small town.
While those lives are valuable and they're innocent, if the Flash and Superman got them out of there, they could have got them out of there in 10 seconds, but they created a whole bunch of movie fluff, and they made that like a 5-minute scene. Flash running through the city with a truck. Like, that could have been... that could have been 2 seconds. He could have just zoomed him out and then brought back like he did in the sewers. Superman carried a building, put him down. Okay, now let's go fight Steppenwolf. No, they took the attention. They took Flash's powers and turned it into a safety harness. That's all that was. Like the Flash could have been in and out 2 seconds and then fought Steppenwolf. But no, he spent 15 minutes freaking saving people.
And they made the scenes way too epic for how little of cost it was. Like there was dramatic music. We were watching it grow behind the truck. Like it was way too. They made it sound like
for this family of 4, but it just.
The whole purpose behind that was to rectify the situation that was created in Man of Steel going into Batman versus Superman. It was Superman's. What's the word I'm looking for? It is.
I don't think it was his redemption.
Yeah, I mean but that's what it is.
It was one apartment building compared to Metropolis.
So okay, Dad, I'm gonna pose a question to you. So you know how you said the Superman could have just swooped in and took out Batman and Batman versus Superman? If Steppenwolf wanted to do actual damage, why didn't he, I don't know, try to take over Gotham or Metropolis or Central City? Why didn't he actually try to take out civilized land and create more parademons? That way the Justice League couldn't do nothing. But instead, he went into the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like
there was actually no reason why he would do
cause actual damage, then he would have went to a large populated city.
Yeah.
So the reason why he went there, and this was explained in the movie Justice League, the reason why he went there is because there was no satellite coverage. There was no way for the Justice League to actually find him and stop him from merging the 3 boxes.
Obviously, there was.
They wrote that in. They didn't have another issue like they did in Batman versus Superman. Like they didn't want to just destroy another city like Marvel does every 3 movies.
In the 10 seconds that those vines got to nowhere in the place he was, if you put that down in the middle of Metropolis, that's immediately like 10,000 miles.
Yeah, right, but they would have detected him going down and stopped it before he merged. He went to that area so that the Justice League, so that Batman, the people that he fought in underneath Gotham Harbor, would not be able to stop him before the Unity. He went to some place where he knew they couldn't see him, so that he could perform the Unity.
Yeah, but there's places without satellite coverage that actually have populated places.
Yeah.
Like there's third world countries.
But the U.S. and other countries have satellite coverage. There's no satellite coverage over a place where recently, there's plenty of satellite coverage over India.
Yeah, there's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right, but there's still satellite coverage. It would have been detected before he would have even been able to do
Not
the
if he made a bunch of parademons and then guarded it.
Yeah, if he
'Cause if
would
he
have
would've
just
put it
like
down in the
called up
middle of
his boss
India-
and said, say, hey, send more parademons so I can make you a bigger parademon army. Like,
Yeah. And then also, that begs the question of why was he so underprepared for
yeah.
something that seemed so big?
Because
These three mother boxes.
Because he didn't know about the Justice League.
He knew about Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman.
Yeah, he knew that Superman died.
Which is why he came back.
But he knew
He
about
came
the other
back
two.
and got his ass kicked.
By Superman.
By the Justice
They would
League.
have been just fine without Superman.
Superman was a big
Really,
help.
Wonder Woman literally kicked his ass in the sewers. You're telling me he wouldn't have got his ass kicked again?
No, because he
would
would have been prepared.
That would have got his ass kicked.
He was prepared. He was fully prepared for Wonder Woman because he stopped her using the bracelets again. He was fully prepared for Wonder Woman.
And then Aquaman came in.
Yeah,
but Aquaman didn't do much either. He was fully prepared for those superheroes. He was not prepared for Superman, because as soon as he realized who Superman was, as soon as he realized that it was Superman and that was the Kryptonian, that's when he started getting nervous. He was prepared for everybody else except for Superman.
So why, if he knew, okay, so Steppenwolf knew about the whole Zod thing, obviously, if he knew that Superman died. He knew why he died then.
Right.
So he knew that Kryptonians could be brought back. 1, why didn't he break the ship? 2, why wasn't he prepared in case it happened?
And 3, why didn't he just create another Doomsday with Superman's body?
Badink.
You could still use these arguments of Batman versus Superman. Why did Superman stop Batman from?
That's what I'm saying is like your inconsistencies and our inconsistencies cancel out, but we still have a movie when we cancel ours out.
Well, the Justice League still is a movie too.
No, it's not.
No, if you literally take the villain out of Justice League, there is no Justice League movie. If you take Steppenwolf out of Justice League, there is no Justice League.
If you take Lex Luthor out of Batman vs Superman, there's no Batman vs Superman.
They're still gonna fight.
Yes, they are. Okay, so if you take Lex Luthor out, then that doesn't negate that Superman just dropped the whole building on Batman's people. Like, Batman is still pissed about that. It's not like he's not going to want revenge for that.
Right, but if you take Lex Luthor out, Batman does not get access to Kryptonite.
He can still get access to Kryptonite.
He doesn't even know Kryptonite.
Yes, he does.
No.
Yeah.
He found out about Kryptonite through Lex Luthor's computer. If you take Lex Luthor out, Batman vs Superman is gone.
No.
Yes.
No.
Because if you take out Lex Luthor's computers, then there's just going to be another person that wants this strange fucking rock that's on their planet.
Okay, if you take out Steppenwolf...
Okay, that rock is still found, though. That's still found by the people... I don't know where it was.
It's only found because Lex Luthor is putting it out there that he's looking for this. If you take out Lex Luthor, Batman vs Superman is not a movie. Just like if you take out Steppenwolf, Justice League is not a movie.
If you keep in Steppenwolf, it's not a movie.
It is.
Nothing happens.
Literally the whole point of the movie.
There's no threat. There's no cost. There's barely any action that actually matters.
There is threat.
And there's barely any exploration, unlike Batman vs Superman, where there was way too much, but at least you had information.
The only threat in Justice League was the mention of Darkseid. That's it.
Steppenwolf was a threat.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, I heard your voice crack.
Because I had to call.
No, Steppenwolf out of all the threats I've seen in all of the DC movies real quick.
He was not a threat.
No. Yeah, I think that the bad guy in Suicide Squad was more of a threat.
No.
And I don't even remember her name.
No. Enchantress was more of a Enchantress was definitely more of a threat than Steppenwolf because she actually took over a city.
That's true.
She was smart and went for a city.
No, she took over all of New York.
That was Central City, by the way.
Central City, yeah. The New York.
Central City's
All right.
actually Midwest.
All right, we can continue this for hours on end. But unfortunately, we've only got 5 minutes left.
But unfortunately, 2 against 1. That's democracy, people.
But unfortunately, my movie is losing its argument.
No.
Yeah.
We literally only have 5 minutes left.
Fine, we don't have any whatever the end thing is. That is my voice.
What?
I can't remember what I voiced for. Final act? We don't have any final act.
No, but we only have 5 minutes left. All right. So I want to thank all my co-hosts tonight, everybody that was in the studio with us tonight. Alex, thank you for coming in. Awesome. Thank you for being here and for running the live show on Facebook for us.
Speak me.
It's still running, so I have not.
Miss Angel, thank you for your presence.
Thanks.
Miss
Alcohol consumption is Angel.
It's always a pleasure to see you on your phone while we're arguing.
Look, just in time.
I still got a minute.
My ears are never had that.
Oh, I still got a little more left. All right. I also want to thank all of our supporters, all of our followers, all of our followers and listeners. We do greatly appreciate all of it. Appreciate all of you. Appreciate all of the support. Friday there is no by note, as far as I know.
Hopefully by next week.
Hopefully by next week there is a no by note. I do want to say, keep our dying glasses in your thoughts. He was injured.